and welcome to Pricing College with your hosts, Joanna Wells
and Aidan Campbell.
So today we're going to talk about whether price match guarantees decrease prices. Now, we're talking about that because in Australia, in particular, there is a sort of a big focus on pricing. Customers like to get a good bargain, and also stores like to say that they will compete with anybody that can provide the lowest price. We're just interested now in terms of, if you're going to do that, are you going to make money, or is it better to do something else?
You can see a price match guarantee. You see them commonly, any store, major stores. One I'm thinking of in Australia is Bunnings, who has a price match guarantee on hardware, drills, hammers, that sort of item. You also get them there's a alcohol or a bottle shop, they're called in Australia, and off license in other countries, liquor store in America, and they have a sign up in their window I can think of saying, we will match any published price in the local newspaper. The question is, and there is a lot of debate about this in the literature and media, does that sort of guarantee, does it actually, how frequently do people come in and ask them to reduce their prices, or does it just slide over them and people forget about it?
Well, surprisingly, even though people are kind of obsessed about prices here, very few people actually go into the store saying, look, I have found a cheaper price elsewhere. And I think it's around about sort of like 90% of people just don't. Yes, there's going to be a small percentage of people that do. They do their research, their homework on different products or on the same product. They'll get their receipt and they'll go into the store to prove it and get the price discount back or a credit note or whatever the store has in their policy. But I think the majority of people I think it's enough for them just to know that store is giving that price match guarantee, and they sort of almost then sort of forget about it, like it's some kind of psychological sort of trick almost, but it sort of appeases any sort of loss that they would have felt had they not have provided that offer or guarantee.
Yeah, I sometimes think of it as it's almost like a psychological assurance for people that they're not going to be paying significantly more in this store than they would in another store. And so to some extent, it takes away the pressure on them, that they feel they should go out and do the hard work, the footwork and run from store to store to try and save those extra dollars. Particularly if it's a reasonably small item, the bottle shop example we gave, where it's a bottle of wine, say the bottle of wine's $20 in this store, how much is it really going to cost in another store? Even in at the very minimum on a special promotion, it might be $10. But are you going to run from store to store to save that money for the chance of that and to do the hard work? Probably not. So it gives people assurance, and there's a lot of suggestion in the literature that it actually stops people from shopping around. It actually makes them lazier because somewhere they think it's already been done.
Also, to some extent, the price match guarantee is also something that stores or businesses use to signal to other businesses that they are willing to. It's collusion, signaling to other businesses that there's that, don't compete with me on price because, we will take a move, and what are you going to do next? So it's that, that price war sort of thing, preventing it maybe, but also signaling that there's ability to move if necessary.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Another thing I will say about it is it's almost a false guarantee to some extent. Like, imagine that you are in a hardware store and you know that one up the road sells the same item. So say you go into store A, and in that store a hammer drill sells at $300, and the store next to it has a price match guarantee and they're selling it at $400. The logical person will just buy it in the first store. They'll just buy it for $300 rather than going to another store, proving this to them, printing off some form, and then just getting the same price. To some extent, that's ridiculous. You will just go to the store that sells it cheapest if you're aware of it. The only case where you wouldn't do that would be as if you really valued the store with that price match guarantee. You were somehow already in that location. The other store was hard to access, etc. But I think that's a very small percentage chance for the vast majority of cases.
And also, there's been some like really bad press on price match guarantees. So, like, people have gone into the store, they've got their evidence, they've got their dockets to show that actually they are more expensive and they want their money back. And often there's been sort of very long, arduous sort of policies, pricing policies. It's almost been too much paperwork, too much of a headache for customers to get their money back. And this has happened on numerous occasions. So I think overall, customers are now a bit wary. Yeah, it might have given them at the beginning when it was first introduced as a concept some sort of assurance. But now it's a bit like, oh yeah, are they really going to give me the money back, or is it just another gimmick?
I think the final thing I'll add on this one is it can be seen as a form of segmentation strategy. We often talk about segmenting. When you're running a retail business and you're selling, the bottle of wine or the hammer drill, for example, simple segmentation could be somebody who buys one item or a business customer who buys 20. But at the same time, there are other customers. If you look at segmentation, it could be somebody who shops around, who prints off coupons, who really will do that legwork. And let's say that's 10% of the market. The other 90%, they won't bother. They go to the store, they want to buy it, and they want to take it away immediately. So with this segmentation strategy, you can actually appeal to both. You will sell to 90% at the published price, and then that 10% who potentially you wouldn't have been able to sell to, you can sell to them also. Really, and what you do is you're protecting the other 90%. You're still selling at the price you want to sell at, but you can give these people a discount because they've done this legwork. So to some extent, it's an unadvertised, non-marketed discount that appeals to a certain niche segment of people who maybe have a lot of time in their hands.
Yeah, and all data is good data. If they're giving you accurate insights into your pricing and your competitors' pricing, and you haven't got that, then that's great for you because that's another data point that you can calibrate in your system and readjust your prices.
So yeah, that's all I want to add today. I'll be honest, I'm not a big shopper around. To be honest, for big items, yes, you will go and compare big items. But for the smaller items, the everyday items under a certain threshold, you have to really weigh up the time, the effort versus the money you would potentially save. And also, do you really want to be negotiating every single time and asking to speak to a manager and showing them a printed piece of paper? Life can be stressful enough without that.
Yeah, life is short. I don't think I'll be. I don't think people have the time or the inclination to collect all the dockets anyway. Tax is bad enough.
That's certainly true. So we'll say thank you very much for listening and see you next time.
All right, thanks a lot.